here we go with the three-way shootout of Mountico. So boy, we got the R1, we got the S1, and we got the P1. All Mountico shoes, and oh my gosh, these shoes are similar and they're different, and there's so much going on with all three of these. We're going to break them down line by line. I got cameras 1 and 2 to make sure that we have all of the details here of every single Mountico shoe known to the running world. Brand new shoe company of 2024, only 3 out there. I mean, they started out with these super very pristine and clean colorways, and they are inching their way into different colorways. You know, flash forward, the R1 is no longer just this. It's going to be in a twilight blue as well. All right. Oh my gosh. Let's just jump right in, and we're going to start with the R1. So this is the racing shoe. This is the ultra marathon racing shoe here from R1. And we're going to start with the laces. We're going to see how it compares to its brethren over here. Oh my gosh. You know, looking at the laces, we're going to start and we're going to pick on the S1. I feel like the S1 and the R1 are counterparts as far as you know, racing and training goes here. Okay, so let's see, is there even a difference between the laces? So I'm looking at the laces, I'm looking at the width, the thickness, you know, is there anything going on as far as the texture goes? And I would say that, yeah, the R1 right here definitely has a little bit more kind of a width to it, a little stretchiness to it. There's a little bit of texture on the sides versus the S1 in my right hand over here, where it's a little bit more uniform and a little bit more compact and a little bit more put together. That said, it's a little bit more slick, and the R1 is not nearly as slick. And I have found that laces, kind of like what is going on with the R1, tend not to untie as much on their own because they kind of poof back onto themselves and not untie quite as much. Now, taking a look at the lace of the P1 over here, the stability guy, it's actually a little bit more similar to, I would say, the S1 as far as what is going on with the laces. Definitely, the R1 definitely has a different lace entirely versus the S1 and the P1. Very interesting here. Okay, now, so moving into kind of the laces and the tongues of the shoes. So already I can tell you right now that the R1 is going to be way different, because take a look at this. We have a tuned fit lacing system going on with the R1. I mentioned it in my full review, and I'll talk about it again. This is so interesting and so innovative. I mean, we've got like this elastic bungee system, you know, towards the top of the toes here, along the midfoot here, and then we got kind of a mini lace going on here. And so what happens is you can take your elastic piece and you can stretch and dial in your fit here, and you can even adjust on the fly as you need to throughout the run, which I think is super interesting. You know, and then it's got like this forward half of the shoe, it's responsible for that, and then it's got the back half that's controlled by the laces here, the more traditional system up top. And what happens is you get this kind of very interesting feel across the top of the foot. You don't have too much pressure anywhere, really. You know, you would think that there's like a little bit of a pressure point situation going on there. There's not. There's really not. And so let's actually compare this to our friends over here, the S1, for example. All right. So pulling up the S1, again, I think that the R1 and the S1 are kind of hand in hand as far as similarities go. We can get more into that here in a second. But take a look at the S1. All right, right here where my finger's at, this is the arch area. This is the medial portion of the shoe. All right, and comparing that over here, you know, you definitely got two different things going on. And this is more what you see in some of the other shoes as far as like, you know, adaptability goes with the arch system, and the laces is just kind of adapting to the runner as the runner needs, and Mountico is doing that. So basically I can kind of move this around. It is separate, it is free from this here, this upper, and if you look kind of inside, you can kind of see, let's see, what's going on. That band of material does wrap around that arch area to really pull up and create like a nice cinched down arch that's not super duper tight, and it does kind of triangulate and flare out. So it's not this pitchy point here. It's actually kind of wide, and it does kind of gently caress that arch and get it back into form. Now taking up the P1, you know, the P1 almost has the same thing. There's a little bit more going on as far as the detailing of the shoe, you know, so rather than it being separate, right, it looks like it's kind of separate here. You can see it peeking out from underneath, but here it's definitely incorporated into the fabric of the upper. And I definitely felt that. I felt like both the S1 and the P1 did well as far as the arch goes. You know, there's some, you know, decent arch stuff going on here, but I would say that the S1 and the P1 definitely have it as far as the arch goes. I really like this adaptive arch fit here, and so that's just really interesting. So as far as this three-way comparison goes, I don't know if it's going to necessarily be like a super shootout and we're going to have like a super duper winner, but you know, the results might surprise you of what all is going on in these shoes. So definitely stay tuned to the end of the video. Okay, so that said, we have, you know, the elastic piece here. We have what I would consider more traditional here, and then you come over here to the P1 and you have this asymmetric, it starts here and then it, you know, kind of angles this way, lacing system, you know, picking up its, you know, friend over there. You can kind of see how things are a little bit asymmetric. So that's interesting as far as the P1 goes, and keeping the pressure away from the very direct and center of the top of the midfoot, that it is able to work its way down towards kind of those fifth toes, those little toes over there, and then that is away from the medial side of the shoe, away from that arch that I just talked about. So very interesting. Thinking about the ventilation of all the tongues here, coming back to the R1, this whole upper actually is very ventilated, and you can kind of see what's going on right there. A lot of ventilation here, and then picking up the S1, you know, not quite as much, but you know, it's still pretty breathable, still pretty breathy, not that much, but it's still there. And I would say that the P1 has a similar breathability, you know, compared to that versus the S1. Okay, so thinking about the actual tongues, so looking into the R1, it is gusseted on both sides, and it is just this like really thin, sporty tongue, you know, mainly for this section here, but it does have a nice little pillow as it touches the you know, front of the ankle here. And then of course moving over into the S1, very similar, also gusseted, but a lot thicker and a little bit more plush as far as the material goes for the tongue of the S1. And now moving into the P1, oh boy. Yeah, that's it's very similar to the S1. In fact, there's a little bit less material going on over the toes. So actually, I feel like it might be a little bit thinner. And is it gusseted on both sides? Oh boy, yes it is. So we have double gussets, three ways going on with all the Mountain Coast shoes. So very, very interesting, super duper cool. Alrighty, thinking about the upper. Okay, looking at just kind of the ventilation one with the P1 here. Here's the S1, taking a look at the toe boxes, maybe a little bit more wider as far as the ventilation holes go on the P1 versus the S1 there, but still both very breathable. And then of course, you know, very similar to the tongue, the breathability of the R1. Very lightweight material on the R1, really enjoyed the R1. These are all kind of soft, you know, there's not really a ton of scratchiness or structure to them. If anything, the most scratchy is going to be actually the R1, where everything else is very buttery smooth. Looking at the toe boxes, you have this material here, this really tough material going on towards the toe cap of the P1 here. I keep looking because they got like a little cheat sheet right there, P1. Oh man. And you know, same with the S1. There's a little bit of a toe cap going on there. And actually, no, not a little bit. There's a lot of a toe cap. I would say that I definitely feel very well protected in the P1 S1s toe cap, and there's not really an external toe cap. There's a little bit of a material here going on for the R1, but it's super flimsy compared to the other ones. There's a little bit of a material there too. What I do like with the styling of the S1 and the P1 is that reflective material going on right here. I think that's pretty slick, and you don't see that in a ton of shoes, so I thought that was pretty neat. Okay, alrighty. So moving along, oh yeah, one more thing. So there is a little bit of a difference between the lacing system here with the S1 and the P1. You see these little barrels here. There's a little bit of a barrel situation, and then there's the holes here, and then holes here. So kind of along that midfoot, some of the shoe companies do that along their eyelet chain right there in the center. And then you don't have that. You have just the standard situation going on here with the P1. So definitely different, definitely interesting for sure. So now what I want to do is actually get my hand into the toe box and kind of feel the stretchiness of the material, see what's going on there, see if there's anything that kind of sticks out. I mean, no, not bad. In fact, all of these toe boxes definitely felt really roomy. I would say that the one that felt the roomiest actually was the S1. Really enjoyed stepping in, just walking around, the comfort of the shoe. No pinch points at all on any of these. Really felt good. Not really much of a difference between the two, between the P1 and the S1. All recycled material. Well, not all recycled, but there's a high percentage of recycled material going on to the uppers. It's I believe like a jacquard weave for these. So just kind of think about it as we're going along here. And yeah, just you know, very lightweight material for the R1, and they're all just kind of the same amount of stretch, but as far as like plushness and clothness, so almost like sock-like, the inside as it touches the top of the toes here are going to be to the S1 and the P1. Okay, so just taking a look at the outside, some of the detailing. We'll start with the S1 here. You can definitely see, we'll start with the heel here, is how much detailing and structure is going on for the heel. There's not a single bit of bendability that goes on here. There is a TPU heel clip going on for the S1 here that I felt definitely reduced vibration and really held the heel as you're coming down for that heel strike, and really does a good job in transitioning through the midfoot to the toe off as you're moving along through the running. I really do like how this very durable shoe has quite a bit of structure here. It just feels like it's very well put together, and it's just a nice reassuring feeling for when you're taking the S1 out. It just screams like a very reliable, gonna last a long time kind of shoe, but it's also quite sporty, which I did enjoy. All right, so in the S1, getting my hand in here, it's just a nice plush material. I really like all of these as far as their like heel counters and the little heel pocket. Not a bit of slippage at all with any of these as far as the heel goes. I remember like putting them on for the first time, especially the S1, and just thinking, man, this is just a nice luxurious shoe. And I know that we've talked about other shoes that are really good as far as like lifestyle and, you know, things outside of running. Shoot, I think all of these could definitely pass the test there. So I digress. All right, so there's the S1, and it feels really good. And now coming along here, and I think that the two heel counters for both of these are going to be very similar. So let's actually see. So we got the S1 here, and we got the R1, and we got the P1 here. Okay, so looking at the heel counter, looking at the posterior, you have quite a bit of structure on both of them here, and I'm trying to see if there's really any kind of big difference. I don't see it as far as a big difference on the upper piece, but there again, there's that like TPU heel counter going on, that little heel cage for the S1. And then looking just kind of the external geometry of the shoe as far as the uppers go. We mentioned that little bit of the arch here, the adaptive arch. And yeah, here we go. So you can see how right here, this whole band of material on the P1, it starts here and then it wraps all around and it ends here. So it's here and then it's here. All right, so a little bit of a difference about that far. So I'll show it to you this way. 1, and then it wraps around, and then 2. So a little bit more advanced on the exterior portion of the shoe for the P1. So the P1 is more of a stability shoe versus all these other ones, and so I would expect there to be a little bit more support as far as external and internal, and we can get into the internal here in a second as well. But that said, it just is a very, very comfortable heel counter, which we were talking about. And there is some external overlays that kind of work along with it too, especially once you cinch down the laces, and things just kind of all come together and just wraps around the heel and the midfoot, and plenty of room in the toes, and it just feels super duper good. I really like the P1. I mean, it's just a solid shoe. Looking at the external piece of the R1, not really much at all. I mean, it's got a little bit more flexibility for the heel versus the other ones, but it's still considered quite rigid. Okay, and then feeling kind of the heel counter as far as the pillows go around the external, the medial and lateral portion of the foot in the back, and it's a little bit less cushion, but it's still considered a very, very high amount of cushion for the R1. So very good mount to toe, super duper cool. All right, so let's actually pull out the inserts of all of these shoes. We got the R1 here. So we got, oh man, what does it say? When I run, I am just running. Oh, so cool, mount to coast. I just, I love it, love it, love it, love it. Alrighty, so pulling out the inserts. Oh man, these are just such high quality inserts, guys. I wish you could be down here in the shoe lab with me, the basement, the spare bedroom. Shoe lab, and just feeling these things. Oh man, maybe we can do like a live shoe review at some point. Man, that'd be so fun. All right, so just taking a look at these inserts and just, oh my gosh, they're just so high quality, just absorbing these things. So here's the R1. All right, really nice, high quality, good heel cup, things that I'm looking for. A little bit of a tactileness going on to the back on their side here, and having a look at the arch here, and then coming over to the S1, very similar. I would say that almost the same as far as the arch goes, as far as the structure goes, and as far as the quality goes for the different inserts. You know, I use the word different. They're not very different at all. In fact, they're almost identical. All right, but then the one that is really different is going to be the P1 here. I mean, taking a look, this is so luxurious, guys. I mean, you got a dual zone insert going on for the P1 here. This is just really nice and cushioned, and it kind of transitions all the way down to about that midfoot and just leaves these toes here. Man, just really, really nice arch, and then the lateral, and then the toes, and just, oh my goodness, such a high quality insert. I really like the one on the P1. It is just such a luxurious feeling shoe, honestly. I think between the P1 and the S1, as far as just comfort overall, I mean, I'm gonna have to say P1 actually. This P1, this stability version, it's just so nice. It's so nice. But of course, you know, I think you picked up what I'm putting down, that all of these shoes are just super nice to walk around in, and just super nice to run in. I would say that, you know, like none of these are super speedy. They're all just kind of cruisy shoes. I mean, I'm talking like zone 2, where you're just like gonna set it and forget it. And all of these shoes did look really well. Actually, the R1 did seem to want to go a little bit faster, but overall, I feel like these are just really nice zone 2 shoes where you can just set it and forget it, and just cruise all day long and just not have any problem at all. And the reason why you can do that is because a lot of the guts that are going on in the midsole. So we're going to talk about the midsole now. So here's the R1. So the cool stuff that's going on in the R1 is going to be this zero sag. So the S1 also has zero sag, but there is not one but 2 sections of zero sag going on. And what the heck is zero sag? Well, it's a material that prevents a lot of deforming, and a lot of conforming, and a lot of just sagging. And they put in key areas. So this is going to be your first toe, and these are your pinky toes over here. and then this is kind of that lateral foot. And basically as the foot comes down and rolls off and goes through the gait cycle, where for me, I land on this kind of outside of the foot and then roll off my big toe. I mean, this is like a perfect roadmap of my foot as I'm running along. And I think anybody that kind of comes down on their heel, like you're coming down on the heel and you might land here and then you come off and you toe off, and basically this zero sag just kind of tracks and follows through that entire thing. So as your foot is doing that multiple, like thousands of times, it's just got a little bit of a hammock going on, a little bit of a backstory. So that way you are having a nice maintained foot as far as the alignment and the structures and the muscles and all that good stuff, so that they're just not fatiguing quite as fast as if you had a super compliant, really squishy sort of midsole, one that wanted to give in to every single thing, which that could, you know, be said for like something that's very peppy and light and race type, but that I don't think is what Mount Takos is trying for. They're trying for something that lasts a long time and allows the runner to go, go, go. All right, and so with that said, you got zero sag in the heel, you got zero sag in the forefoot, and then on the S1, you only got the zero sag going on in the front. And you know, why don't you have it in the back? Because you got this TPU heel counter going on back there. You don't want to overstuff the shoe too much. And that P1, it don't have no zero sag. It doesn't have zero sag at all. What it does have is a 3D arch rail, which, you know, kind of follows the same thing as far as this piece here, but instead of it being zero sag, it's actually a little bit of a structure that goes in and reduces the amount of a lot of the extra material that goes on for anybody that might have a tendency to overpronate, to grab the front of the foot, reduce the twist, and reduce the pronation in general, and just create a more stable structure. Instead of from the posterior of the shoe, it is more towards the forefoot here. Okay, and so what's interesting is, you know, Mount Takos has their lab. They did a bunch of studies. They did a bunch of motion analysis with runners with this shoe, and they found that it did that. It, you know, did a good job in creating a more stable structure for those that required a little bit of stability. You know, I would say that, you know, I don't typically reach for stability shoes, but I felt like this was a really nice neutral shoe that had a stabilizing feature that actually did quite well. And it's not intrusive, right? You know, you're not feeling this material that's in here, but you can definitely tell as far as when you're running in the shoe that it's just a little bit more in control. And so there are muscles in the feet that are activated by the structure here, and basically they are muscles that act to maintain the arch of the foot, and this shoe actually activates those, and you have a little bit more of a arch that continues, and again doesn't sag and doesn't fatigue, and just, you know, can maintain so that your foot and your leg and everything else is more busy powering through and not having a bunch of excess wasted motion and everything like that. For those that are interested, I'll put the name of the muscle on the screen right now, but we're not gonna, you know, do too much of a medical deep dive in this video. That's gonna be for later. Oh man. So each of these shoes, as far as the compound goes, is a PIBA based light cell. It's on every single one of these. Light cell here, light cell there, and light cell everywhere. Light cell here on the P1. Okay, so for the R1 you have 35 in the heel and 27 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop, and the S1 is 36 in the heel and then 26 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. 10mm. Then the P1 is 37 in the heel and 27 in the forefoot for a 10mm drop. Wow. All right, and then lastly, each of these has this Go Flow thing going on. So Go Flow basically is the ability of the foam to carry on the heel to toe transition with varying durometers, right? So as it goes through the heel to the forefoot, it basically is a little bit softer in the back and then a little bit more firm in the front to really give the user a nice experience as far as running goes through the gait cycle, you know, using those extra materials, the 3D arch rail, the zero sag, in addition to the Go Flow, which is simply complementary as far as the user going through its running. And oh man, it's just a really nice shoe to run in. All three of these are just super duper delightful. All right, now moving into the outsole. So basically this is the R1. You got the R1R. This is called the CPU outsole, and they found that it like squeaks pretty bad, I guess, on wood floors and wet surfaces. So there is a rubbery version of this, and that just weighs a little bit more, but that would be the R1R. This in my hand is the R1, and moving over into the outsole of the S1, and then the outsole of the P1, exactly the same, zero difference that I can tell. Yeah, I don't see a bit of difference here in the S1 P1. Very, very, very good. In fact, I was running this guy here, and we have some wet leaves all over the place outside. It's been raining, it's been cold, it's been dreary. Basically, I gotta say there were situations where I was in something that if I didn't see it, if I didn't know that it was there, if I saw it, I would have been nervous, but I didn't because it was dark out and I was running on this stuff. By the time that I realized it, I'm going downhill, and I gotta say that I have a lot of faith in the outsole for the R1 especially, because I was running on something that was very slick. There was a lot of dead leaves and everything like that, and traditionally those have made me fall or at least slip or something like that, and I didn't have any of that stuff going on with the R1. So kudos to you guys, Mount Decos. And I gotta say, same thing with the traction on all of these here. I've run in the rain in all these, and each of these have done well as far as the traction goes outside. Okay, so we're gonna get into the pricing of the shoe. The price of the R1 is $160, followed by the S1, which is $150, followed by the P1, which is $160. So all of the shoes, I would say, are definitely worth the money as far as structure and quality and just buildmanship and craftsmanship. They are just really well-built shoes that have really exceeded my expectations of you know, what I would expect. You know, brand new shoe company just coming out. There's a lot of detailing and just a lot of, you know, attention to quality right here. You can kind of see that little, just look at that. It's like not just external, but it's got some internal bits to it as well. And it's just like a nice thing. And you've got Mount Decos written on this, on the outside here. Just inside and outside, the shoes have been very well thought of. Like I said, you know, and I'll probably keep saying it, whatever they come out with, you know, they really have been thorough about the design and the build and the purpose of the shoe. It's just like they're very intentional about what's going on. They're very intentional about the colorways. I know that the R1 has come out with a super nice twilight blue. That is such a beautiful, on your screen now, there is that colorway. So pretty, man. All right, so full disclosure, Mount Decos did send me all of these shoes, and I am so grateful. But honestly, that is not swaying my opinion. I really do feel that these are really high quality shoes, and I'm so happy that we have Mount Decos in 2024. It's just a nice time to be a runner because we have all these choices. Oh my goodness. That said, I do actually have a little gift for you guys. It's a promo code for 8% off. There on your screen, it's RUNDAD8. 8% off at checkout if you are interested in picking these up at a discount. Mount Decos hooked me up with that, so I am going to share that with you guys. I do believe that these are high quality, and I just can't wait to see what they come out with next. It's really nice, and I've said it before that they're really just slow dripping the releases of their shoes. They're not really just, you know, trying to hurry and get something out the door. They're very methodical and stuff like that, which I really appreciate that, especially nowadays, and just how fast-paced and just how gimme things are. It's nice to have something that's like, well, let's be patient and come out with them when we're ready and whenever there's like time that is appropriate to go for it. All right, that's all I got, everybody. So there you go. This is the three-way shootout of the R1, S1, P1, and oh, what shoe do I like the most? What shoe do I like the most? That's gonna be the R1. All right, I said that we might not have a winner. We might not even do that. Come on now. So let's settle this like adults. It's like rock, paper, scissors, R1. It's lightweight. It's so nice. It's just amazing and everything like that. Oh boy. All right guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and please click like and subscribe to the channel. My name is Jason. I'm a nurse practitioner in podiatry. The name of the channel is Running NP Adventures. Basically my journey as a nurse practitioner and running, and we're gonna kind of dive into shoes and gear and biomechanics and musculature and connective tissue and bone structure and all that fun stuff. It's all going to be generalized content. It's not going to be prescriptive or individualized or any of that stuff. It's just going to be super fun. And like I call it, what did I say in the description? Light education. It's going to be education light. It's not going to be super duper heavy. I don't want this to be a super boring channel. No. It's got to be too fun. All right, everybody. So there we go. That's it for the three-way shootout of the shoes. All right, everybody, I'm out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night.